Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. I don't know if you can hear in the background, but my computer feels like it's going to take off or something. So I'm trying to render another video at the moment. And I thought rather than just sitting here and waiting for it to process, I thought I'd make another video. But it's not going to be as big as the one that's processing. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the event that triggered my spiritual awakening. Someone wrote to me this morning about a spiritual awakening, and I thought I'm going to share my story because it's actually really personal. So I've not actually shared any details about it before, even though I've mentioned that I've had a spiritual awakening. Anyway, I believe that pain is the greatest teacher or the greatest guide in life, and many things or many changes that we make are because of painful situations. We feel pain. It's like a guide because we try to do whatever we can to take the pain away. And that's exactly what it was like for me when I had this spiritual awakening. It all started around, I can't remember, it was around 2016, and I was an occasional tobacco smoker, and I was living in a friend's flat, no contract or kind of word of mouth a contract, you know, and things can get complicated when you don't have these boundaries fixed, so I discovered. So anyway, this friend of mine, who at the time I would have considered him to be one of my best friends ever, we had a really great friendship, and anyway, one day he said to me, "Ooh, you stink. If you smoked, because you really smell terrible of tobacco, why don't you give up? Or why do you smoke?" And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give up today. So I did, and I haven't smoked ever since. It was June as well, so we're coming up to a 5-year anniversary there. So I was very proud of myself. I gave up. It was very difficult. And also he'd given up tobacco after maybe 20 years of smoking, and he'd given up 2 weeks before me. So we're really motivating each other on this tobacco-free journey. And it was really hard. It's one of the biggest or the hardest things I've ever done, actually. I made another video about it called My Biggest Regret, because it is one of my biggest regrets in life. As you know, if you follow me, that I'm very proud of about the fact that I lead quite a healthy lifestyle. So tobacco is kind of goes against everything I believe in, and I really regret it a lot because, yeah, it's just a terrible thing to do. Or wasting money, and you're ruining your health. It's just like self-destruction big time. So anyway, when I overcame it, it was so hard and so difficult. I thought I'm never ever going to smoke again. And anyway, this friend, he didn't live at the apartment. He had keys, and he came by whenever it suited him just to sleep in the spare room. So that was okay when everything was fine, but when it wasn't fine, it was a problem. So what happened was he started just showing up at the apartment and smoking in the apartment. And even though he didn't live there, he wasn't even staying there. It was just, so when you don't smoke anymore, the smell of tobacco is so annoying and so unpleasant, and also you're more conscious of smells in general when you give up smoking, of smell and taste, and then you don't want all this tobacco on to be on your clothes and your hair, etc. It's just like, oh no, stop. So anyway, I tried to kind of return the favour, because he obviously slipped back into bad habits and started smoking again. I tried to do the same favour he did for me, and I said, "Why are you smoking? It smells disgusting, blah blah blah." But it really didn't work for him. He kind of like took offence, and then this massive tension began, just started to be created between us. And also he used to come around with these big legs of jamon, this Spanish ham, which is just disgusting. I mean, these are pig's legs that haven't walked for 5 years. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, cured ham. I don't know what the actual terminology is. But the thing is, he didn't live there. I was just thinking, he was just kind of like rubbing it in my face because I didn't eat meat, you know. So it made me not want to go into the kitchen. And yes, I felt very, very, very uncomfortable. And also, when I gave up tobacco at this time, I joined the gym for the first time in my life. So it was I started this massive health kick. I became a new person. I bought a juicer. I started going to the gym, whereas he kind of was slipping back into bad habits, eating terrible food and smoking and being very lazy, basically. So our friendship just kind of went like this. And but it got to a point where you can have, you know, different interests from your friends, but he kept kind of he basically started bullying me and making me feel very, very, very uncomfortable. And to the point where he told me I had to leave. And at the time I had no money to actually go anywhere else. And so I said to him, I'm okay, fine, but I need some time just to save up so I can leave. And so I did that. I really worked my ass off. I tell you, I really, really, really worked hard. And even though he knew I was working hard, he kept putting more and more pressure on me. For example, when it was the first of the month, he would turn up and sometimes he would be insulting me and telling me that I was a bad person and to pay straight away. And sometimes as a freelancer, I didn't have all the money on the first. I mean, I used to kind of pay between the first and the fifth. And that was okay. I mean, I paid everything up to date, so there's no issues there. But still, trying to kind of pay maybe sometimes earlier than I could when I'm trying to save as well was really difficult for me. So anyway, I was very stressed, and I started to look for kind of content online about stress management, etc. And that's when I came across abdominal breathing. So I started to learn about abdominal breathing, and I downloaded an app called Belly Bio. And basically it's you put your phone on your belly and you breathe through your nose, and your belly you breathe through your diaphragm so your belly rises. And with the rise and fall of your belly, your phone can register how long your inhales and exhales are. And then at the end of a session, it tells you what your stress level is. And it was really incredible because I started doing this and I got down to maybe 3 or 4 breaths per minute. It's like really slow. And I just discovered something huge, that actually stress is kind of a choice because you can control your reaction to anything through the breath. And that was a very kind of big eureka moment for me. And then I discovered Sadhguru online, who is an Indian mystic yogi who shares lots of spiritual wisdom online. And I started to watch his videos, and it's just started to make a lot of sense to me. So I was going down this path of becoming more and more, Zen. And I even joined a group called the Zen of Hollywood here in Barcelona. It was a meetup group, and we used to meet every couple of weeks and talk about spirituality and different. It was called the Zen of Hollywood, so it was taking examples of Hollywood movies and seeing the spiritual message in some selected scenes. So I just started to really go on a different path, and my friendship with this other guy just went like that basically. And every time he tried to make me feel uncomfortable or shout at me or whatever, or put pressure on me to leave, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm doing what I can. So I stopped kind of shouting back at him or trying to win an argument. I just completely became relaxed. So yeah, I'm doing what I can, and I think that infuriated him even more. And it got to the point when I left that apartment. I did eventually leave, but it got to a point where I was literally Googling where the nearest police station was, because he was coming around and just shouting at me and insulting me, and my heart was just like, I did not want to be there. I swear I was doing all I could to leave as fast as possible. I can understand from his point of view, he just didn't want to see me, but I just couldn't. I didn't have anywhere to go basically, and so that was horrible. But anyway, finally I did get out of that situation, and even though it was a horrible situation to be in, to be bullied by someone you thought was your best friend, I'm actually grateful for that friendship because it taught me a lot, and I'm glad it kind of ended because it didn't have anywhere else to go kind of thing, and we were very kind of different people, and I don't think he's spiritual at all, so I was going on a very different journey. And sometimes you have friends in your life who are just there because they've been there in the past, and they get to a point where you're not going to get anything more out of that friendship, or you're not going to it's not going to help you grow in any way. And I feel like that's what happened with him, even though it's a very unpleasant way to end a friendship. And also, I'm the kind of person who kind of is loyal until someone has to treat me very badly, until I kind of step away. And I do feel that I had no choice in the end. I mean, it was a very, very, very tense situation, because it did take me a couple of months after he told me to leave until I actually left. And then when I left, it was awful because I had to kind of like leave at a time when he didn't know I was leaving. I left the keys in the house. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I blocked him on my phone and on everything. So it's like, and he didn't know where I was living. So I'm laughing now, but it was a really horrible situation to be in. Oh, it was awful. But then I went to this new apartment, which was the last one I was in, and it was a shoebox apartment. And I just spent all this money on this deposit and everything. I didn't actually have that much money left. I couldn't even furnish it for a couple of months. It was quite crazy. And I remember I was cold a lot of the time because it was the winter, and it was a very damp apartment. And so most of the time I was either cold cold or hungry or both, which was not a nice situation to be in. So I was kind of like in blankets all day, and I didn't want to put the heating on just in case it was expensive. So it really took me a long time to kind of get on my feet and get the place furnished, because for a couple of months I had just boxes in the lounge and no sofa or anything like that. And then after a couple of months in that apartment, I started to have a lot of self-doubt and just think, I don't know if I can afford this lifestyle, living on the Mediterranean in my penthouse apartment that is unfurnished. Maybe I'm gonna have to go home or something. So I had a real big weekend of just self-doubt, and I started to look for content online that was kind of going to inspire me. And I came across a YouTuber called Infinite Waters, and that was just like a real it really opened my mind. And I was still watching Sadhguru, so I was very kind of receptive to all this kind of spiritual personal development content, and I really found that it helped me to think bigger during a very difficult time. And I think that's why people do resort to that type of content, or law of attraction as well, which is good. It can be a really great tool, but also there are lots of scammers who do take advantage of that vulnerable situation that people can find themselves in. Because when you're in a vulnerable situation, you are kind of more open, you just want some help. And yeah, so it was very, very tough. But then I discovered sex magic, sexual transmutation, and then I started to really, hang on, the computer, I don't know what it's doing, started to use my sexual energy to manifest, and then as I became more kind of more spiritual, I feel like I've had some ego death, which has really affected, for example, my sexuality, my work, and yeah, my sexuality, work, and what else? Yeah, kind of my body image as well. Because I think as my work as an influencer, I don't even really like to say the word influencer, because I don't really feel like that's who I am. But I feel like maybe I'm not that typical person who's like, hey, look at me, subscribe, like and subscribe. I'm just I feel like I'm here because I have this message. So the message became the protagonist of my work. I'm just a kind of messenger, and it's not really about me, which makes me feel quite more relaxed, because I'm quite a shy person at the end of the day. And also in terms of body, I used to do lots of erotic photos in the past, and there was an element of that which was very artistic. But my new apartment, the old apartment I was in, was so cold, I just could not even think about taking clothes off to take pictures. So I couldn't even, I stopped doing that. And then my kind of image, or my relationship with my body, changed a lot. I became vegan, and I just was more interested in kind of being strong at the gym without eating animal foods. That was kind of more the thing. And kind of natural anti-aging, that was my thing, kind of like using my body as a canvas for my message, rather than being thinking that my body is me, because I used to think that before, and now I know it isn't. It's just my kind of container of my soul. Yeah. And then what else? And then sex, of course, it really changed a lot, because I think before I was into kind of BDSM, domination, role play, and that type of thing. And I think a part of that was for my ego. I think domination is kind of like saying, I'm here, pay attention to me. Maybe because I wasn't feeling in my life that I was getting enough attention in different circles. So I definitely think that was a part of that. But then when I had this ego death, I didn't really need that, my ego massaged anymore in a sexual situation. I was more about kind of transcending the physical and going to different places and getting more into kind of tantra or Taoist types of sexuality, which really speak to me a lot more. And even my masturbation techniques changed a lot. It was less about pleasure and fantasies and more about using the powerful tool of sexual energy and orgasm to manifest, etc. So yeah, and even then when I went vegan, that was also a spiritual thing. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm disgusted at what's happening in slaughterhouses. I mean, that is a terrible thing. That's terrible, of course, or the planet and stuff like that. But for me, it was more kind of a personal, spiritual decision. And yeah, that's how it is for me. Yeah. So, and I become more and more spiritual as time goes by. It just feels right to me, and I read lots of books about spirituality. And it just, for me, it gives a new sense to everything in my life, and I find gives me a lot of peace as well. So yeah, I hope this has not been too woo-woo for you, and yeah, I hope this has been inspiring in some way. And oh my God, what's happened? I do feel that pain is the greatest teacher and the greatest guide. And even when I set up my blog 12 years ago, I decided to leave my job in real estate. It was also through a very painful situation of not having any money and not selling anything for a couple of months. I thought, you know what, it's now or never. So I do believe that when pain comes into our lives, or discomfort, that's the time to really kind of think, what can I do now? What can I learn from this pain? What can I do to make myself feel better? I do believe that in the law of attraction, there's too much emphasis on raise your vibration and be happy all the time, whereas pain is the greatest teacher. So anything that's kind of making you feel a little bit bad or discomfort, or some kind of discomfort in your life, you should really pay attention to it and ask why, and what you can learn from it. That is what I think anyway. Anyway, I would love to hear your comments or about this, and if you have anything to share, if you have had a spiritual awakening of your own, I would love to hear about it. And if you have suggestions for new videos, don't hesitate to write to me at venus@venusohara.org or on Instagram @venusohara. Thanks for watching. Oh, I forgot to say meditation. That was a big thing for me as well, but maybe I'll make another video about that. Anyway, bye.